Tonight, Minister for Procurement Adjoa Safo has assured that budget overruns associated with all national procurement of contracts will soon be a thing of the past. She was speaking at this year's Value for Money conference in Accra. There's more in this report.
Now, what you see here are captains of industry as well as ministers of states coming together to find solutions to one prevalent issue related to governance in this country, which is budget overruns when it comes to the procurement of contracts. It's all here at the Value for Money conference, which will see several stakeholders proffer solutions.
The cost of all infrastructure contracts will in the coming months be standardized to ensure value for money. This is according to the Procurement Minister Adjoa Safo, who tells Joy Business that budget overruns in the procurement of contracts will now be a thing of the past. This follows a World Bank report which shows that even though Ghana needs about $1.5 billion for investment in infrastructure projects, the country loses $1.1 billion to projects delivery inefficiencies. She was speaking at the Value for Money conference ongoing at the Marriott Hotel in Accra.
There's efficiency and openness in the system, we will be able to save ourselves that money that can be diverted into other projects. So we commend the Vice President for such a forum, and being the Procurement Minister, we're all here to jojo and see how we can come out with standardization for projects, mainly that of hospitals, schools, and then hospital, schools and roads, so that you have contractors who come in and there are standard prices for building a 3-classroom block. You can't go above it, you can go below it. And the same with roads. 1 kilometer road should cost the same all over the country, but now what you find is that there are variations in the pricing.
On his part, Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta stated that the overpricing of government projects has the potential of draining government coffers and subsequently distorting government revenue.
I'm not sure actually the principal issue is budget overruns. The principal issue is a custom, and the experiences that we have seen in India, the challenge of the Ofanko establishment, and whether we as a people can afford the current paradigm or model in which.
The conference was under the theme Public Infrastructure Projects, a new way of thinking to ensure value for money.
The World Customs Organization has pledged its support to Ghana in arresting trading in counterfeit goods. This has become necessary due to the effects of trading in such goods on the economy. Now, speaking to Joy Business at a training workshop for customs officials at the various borders and entry points, technical expert at the World Customs Organization, Sandra Wens, disclosed that the organization is ready to support Ghana in many ways to deal with the menace.
The Food and Beverage Association is kicking against the implementation of government's tax stamp policy and is rather
customs officials and the private sector, the right holders, the owners of the rights. It is important that we have good cooperation between customs and the private sector, so we bring them together in a kind of workshop.
Are you looking at any specific product here? Like, for instance, Ghana here, we have issues with our textiles. Textile piracy has been one of the major. I mean, are we looking at a specific place that you are helping Ghana to combat?
Well, we see that every country, every region has its specific problems. We see there is more counterfeiting about a certain product in one country. So we see, especially in Africa in general, we see there's a huge problem with counterfeit and illicit medicines. And Ghana, it definitely has some issues with textiles. So we're trying to get right holders on board from different textiles companies to provide training to customs officers how to recognize genuine products and counterfeit products.
Okay, my last question will be, Ghana is trying to bring in a mechanism of introducing a tax stamp on its textile products that have been produced locally as a way of combating the illicit trading and all that in textiles. What do you make of such a policy, and as a world organization, do you have any input to make into such a policy?
Now, that all depends on the internal procedures here in the country. We are a global organization, so we see it from a global perspective. All initiatives taken by a country are, of course, good if they can make sure that customs officers can also test the specific stamps, and that they have good background information how to see whether those stamps are counterfeited or not. Not even the product, but also sometimes the stamps are counterfeited. So.
Thank you very much.
In other news tonight, the food and beverage firms are yet to reach full agreement with government on the implementation of the tax stamp policy. The Ghana Revenue Authority has indicated it will start enforcing the tax from next month by seizing items that have not been affixed with the stamp, as well as prosecution of firms that are not complying with the directive. But speaking to Joy Business at the Ghana Beverage Awards over the weekend, General Secretary of the Food and Beverage Association, Samuel Agri, said manufacturers are still struggling to work with the tax stamp.
The Food and Beverage Association is kicking against the implementation of government's tax stamp policy and is rather proposing a digital stamp as an alternative. According to Mr. Agri, not only is the digital stamp affordable, but would also yield better results. He says the association has made several follow-ups to the effect and is seeking the buy-in of government.
The solution that we have proposed to government is the digital stamp, that you need not to invest so much, but then you get the optimum output when it comes to revenue. So government on the other side stands to gain if he deploys the digital stamps. With this one, it's only a software and a small machinery. That will not even cost you more than 20,000 cedis, even more, less, maybe 10,000 US dollars, could give you all these things, and government will also spend less in putting up all these structures to get the needed results that they want.
In a related development, Ghana Investment Promotion Center boss Yofi Grant hints the use of technology to mobilize taxes would be one of the issues considered in the upcoming mid-year review.
Tax is important. The issue is our tax to GDP is about 16%. And ideally, it should be in the region, if you look at our peers, of around 25% or more. So we need to pay a lot more attention of where the leakages are and why we are not collecting. I mean, currently, if you look at our tax regime, it's operating on a Pareto principle. That means a few of the minority are paying the larger proportion of taxes. And there are many people who are not captured under the tax bracket. So government needs to bring them in. And I suspect that technology will be a key platform to enable that.
The GRA is looking at enforcing the tax stamp implementation by end of June this year. Bismarck Ausa, Joy Business.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is putting together his notes for the mid-year budget review. Now, Joy Business is learning that the presentation should happen before the last week of July, but there are reports that the Finance Minister could be introducing some new taxes to help deal with revenue shortfalls. So what are the likely areas the Finance Minister could consider? George Rafe has more.
Sources say all options are on the table in terms of finding a more sustainable solution to the revenue challenges. The Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is said to have tabled some proposed tax measures to Cabinet for consideration. However, Joy Business understands that some of the areas being looked at is proposing an increase in the VAT rate by 2.5% to 17.5%. and also increasing SNIT contributions by 2.5%. This should go along with support the National Health Insurance Scheme. These measures should bring in more than 2 billion Ghana cedis in revenue to the state. However, these are just proposals, and things could change after the cabinet meeting to consider them. So it could end up that these proposals may not be announced at all when the Finance Minister appears before Parliament for the mid-year review, because other measures are being considered, and also looking at the political cost of increasing taxes, coming after the fact that government recently abolished 14 nuisance taxes as part of measures to refocus economic policy from taxation to production.
Now, South Africa says it is still consulting over whether or not to sign on to the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Discussions are underway as the UN Economic Commission for Africa begins a campaign over the next 6 months to get 22 countries to ratify, including Africa's biggest economies, Nigeria and South Africa. South Africa's High Commissioner to Ghana, Lula Singwana, says they would ratify if the relevant stakeholders are convinced it is the right way to go.
Well, as you know, once you sign the agreement, you must take it to your parliament for ratification. So if you just go sign and they don't know about it, you can end up being frustrated. So South Africa is consulting with the relevant stakeholders, with our political parties, various political parties, with our trade unions, with our civil society, community organizations, so that South Africans are taken on board before our president can sign it, and that process is underway.
Young entrepreneurs participating in the Cosmos Innovation Center Agritech Challenge are leaving no stone unturned as they gear up for the second competitive pitching event. 14 teams will be presenting refined business ideas to experts at the end of this month. The challenge is seeking innovative business concepts that can be transformed into an agribusiness startup. JoyNews' Adelaide Arthur has more in the following report.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You made it to the second round. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
The 14 groups were selected for their compelling business ideas after the first competitive pitching event in May.
Additionally, we'll also introduce auto credit scoring in order to help suppliers, the smaller suppliers that are in need of our services.
So we're very excited, we're very relieved to get to live yet another day. So what Growth Factor does is that we are helping the SMEs or the suppliers in the agri sector get paid quicker, especially for those that provide goods or services to large corporations. They're usually paid much later, maybe 30 or even 90 days after they deliver. So we're helping them get paid quicker, and then their buyers can then settle payment with the financier at a later stage.
23 teams had presented their innovative business concept to an ideation team consisting of experts in the agribusiness sector and academia last month.
Okay, congratulations. Okay.
On June 28, the 14 teams that have made it to the second round of the competition will be expected to showcase how viable their business concepts are for a place in the final round. Director of the Cosmos Innovation Center, George Sapon, says the participants are getting ready for the pitching event, which promises to be very competitive.
They are currently in what I call in training mode, and also practicing and doing, completing their research. So right now they are doing practice pitching and readying themselves for the next pitch, which is on the 28th.
The Cosmos Innovation Center Agritech Challenge aims to unearth innovative business ideas that seek to resolve problems in the agricultural value chain. Some business concepts presented by young entrepreneurs this year include farm management, access to information, transportation and storage, produce quality and standards, as well as soil quality and pest control. These concepts will then be transformed into agribusiness startups with seed funding from Cosmos Innovation Center and its partners.
Agriculture practices in Ghana is still subsistent, and I think we need to infuse in agriculture what I call the best practices and the innovations that have been applied around the world to really move our agricultural level to the next level. So I think the young people have the excitement, they have the capacity, they have the skill set, they like to be to apply innovation and technology, and that is what is going to move our agriculture to the next level.
Only the promising business teams will proceed to the final stage of the competition. Adelaide Arthur, JoyNews, Accra.
Well, speak of competition, President Akufo-Addo has reiterated his commitment to making the country a conducive environment for business development. He was speaking at the maiden edition of the Presidential Pitch Awards ceremony. Karen Dodu reports.
Presidential Pitch is a project designed by the Business Development Ministry to offer young Ghanaian entrepreneurs between 18 and 35 years of age the opportunity to market their business ideas and to get financial assistance to implement such ideas. Out of the over 2,000 entrepreneurs who applied for sponsorship to support their businesses, 10 were successful. President Akufo-Addo assured that his government will assist in making the country a successful avenue for entrepreneurs.
As I have stated on several occasions, I want to create in Ghana the most business-friendly environment in Africa, where businesses flourish and create jobs. For us in the New Patriotic Party, the party from which my government was born, the primacy of the private sector in the development of our national economy is fundamental. It is the very basis of our economic philosophy and has been so for over 70 years. We have never wavered in our belief that given an enabling environment, the ingenuity and sense of enterprise of the Ghanaian will enable us build a strong, powerful economy which will deliver a good, dignified standard of living to our people.
Minister for Business Development, Dr. Mohamed Awal, assured that his ministry will oversee that funds given to the participants will be used appropriately.
We're going to do a lot of due diligence. We're not just giving them money. We're going to do a lot of due diligence to ensure that they have very good businesses. From beginning tomorrow, we're going to look at their businesses and help them. It's not just giving them the money and letting them go. We want to make a case out of this. So for the next 1 week, we'll sit down with them, help them to straighten up their business concepts, and make it very successful. So it's a partnership that the minister is going with the entrepreneurs to make sure that businesses are sustainable.
Government in total gave 345,000 cedis to the finalists, with the winner, 19-year-old Vanessa Aisha Liman, walking away with 50,000 cedis.
Moving on, exporters may have to consolidate export of goods so as to cut down cost and improve efficiency at the ports. This is coming from CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck, who says the GCA is currently in talks with the Ghana Export Promotion Authority on new policies to ensure the initiative works. Benonita Bismarck has also been speaking with Joy Business about special incentives to increase exports in the country at the second edition of the Ghana Shippers Awards. Charles Aite reports.
The second edition of the Ghana Shippers Awards has seen industry players in the shipping industry commit to more efficient services and compliance with regulations. The award ceremony, which saw about 93 shipping companies receive plaques under various fields of endeavor, has also had players in the sector warned against the demurrage and rent payments, which accounted for $76 million in 2017 alone. Here's Chief Executive Officer of the Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck.
GRA Customs Division and the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders has intensified efforts at educating shippers on how to avoid demurrage in order to further reduce the payment of demurrage this year. Statistics indicate that payments for demurrage at the ports of Tema and Takoradi decreased by 17.5% from the $100 million to $76 million at the end of 2017. Again, in the first quarter of 2018, the authority recorded a total of about $13.4 million that had been paid as demurrage by shippers. This, however, represents a decline of about 23.5% compared with the total demurrage payment for the same period in 2017. I must hasten to add that it is not in the interest of shipping lines to collect demurrage. Their aim is to turn around their containers so that they can grow their business globally.
Touching on the impacts the paperless port system has had on the ports, Sector Minister for Transport, Kweku Ofori-Esiama, stated that even though efficiency at the ports has improved with the paperless port system, there was still more to be done.
In September 2017, the government rolled out an ambitious port reform program, the paperless port system, aimed at ensuring efficiency in our port operations. The introduction of this system has led to a significant reduction in the time and cost of doing business at our ports. Currently, data available to government through the GCNet system on the success of the paperless port system indicates that about 43% of containers are cleared within 24 hours, and about 70% of them cleared within 72 hours. Data from the Ghana Shippers Authority has also shown a decrease in the payment of demurrage and rent payments at our ports. Ladies and gentlemen, although there have been some drastic transformation in our current processes within the implementation of the paperless port system, as a government, we are very much aware of some inherent challenges that confront the system.
The Ghana Shippers Awards, which continues to recognize achievement in the fields, promotes the interests of the industry, both nationally and internationally, as well as provide an unparalleled opportunity for industry players to network. The awards night was organized by Globe Productions in partnership with Graphic Business and the Ghana Shippers Awards. At the end of the award, the Shipping Company of the Year was adjudged to McDan Shipping Company.
For many young people, the age of retirement is not imminent, but age of 60 would definitely catch up in the life of everyone eventually. Now, in Ghana, the sector is divided into the public and private pension players, with fund managers, custodians, and the regulator overseeing these players. Philip Namfori brings us an overview of the pensions industry.
The pensions industry in Ghana is regulated by the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. It's divided into two main players, in the public space and in the private space. In the public space, we have what we call SNIT. That's the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. And in the private space, we have what we call trustees. There are 27 of them in the industry, licensed by the NPRA. That's the regulator of the industry, National Pensions Regulatory Authority. Now, this is a 3-tier pension scheme, and this was brought in the year 2008. Prior to that, we were using a different type of pension scheme. I'm not going to bore you with that today. Now, in this 3-tier pension scheme, SNIT operates in the Tier 1 space and the trustees in the Tier 2 space. Now, in the Tier 1 space, we contribute 13.5% of our salaries to SNIT for investments for our future when you become 60 and you can no longer work. And in the trustees, 5% of our salary goes. So in total, we have 18.5% of our salaries going to our pension fund managers. That's SNIT, Social Security and National Insurance Trust, and the trustees. There are 27 of them in the country. What happens after that is that these players pass on our contributions to fund managers, who then actually do the real investing. They actually channel these funds to areas of the economy, such as government bonds, government securities, or the stock market. Then we have the custodians, who keep these funds. They are typically banks, commercial banks in the country, and they keep these funds or act as a storehouse of these funds for the fund managers, so that when they are called upon, they release the funds to the fund managers, and then they channel these investments to different areas of the economy. There are 66 licensed fund managers in the country, and then there are 16 custodians, all licensed by the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. So just to wrap up, 18.5% is what we contribute. This scheme is mandatory. It's in the law. We are supposed to channel funds from our salary into pensions for the age of 60 or come retirement, so that you are not found wanting.
Philip Namfori, with some education there for you. There'll be a second part to this, so don't miss it. Continue following our bulletins. Turning now to our interview of the day, and a Brand Ghana office has been replaced with a committee which is tasked to market the country to the rest of the world. That's according to the acting chief executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Agyeman. The new committee is made up of members of the Ghana Tourism Authority, GIPC, Ghana Export Promotion Authority, and Free Zones Board. The Brand Ghana office was established in 2009 by the late President John Evans Atta Mills to help package the country's values, heritage, socio-economic, and political environment to the outside world. Now, Mr. Akwesi Agyeman tells Joy Business the replacement has become necessary because of its potential contribution to the tourism sector. That's our interview of the day.
GATOV, Hotels Association, Tour Guides Association, Car Rentals Association, everybody will be coming and they will tell us, maybe add this, take this thing out. And in July, and then when we launch, that becomes the one-stop shop for everything tourism in the country.
Okay, so what has become of the Brand Ghana office? What has become of this office?
Okay, so currently the Brand Ghana office doesn't exist. What we have done is to form a committee of minds. GIPC is one of the main agencies that promote Ghana when it comes to investment. We do marketing and promotion of Ghana as a destination, and then we have the Export Free Zones Board and the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. So we formed a small working group to look at brand Ghana. How do we sell it? In our way, we sell it currently with our culture and our warmth and our rhythm. GIPC says Ghana on the go. So we want to find a common ground where all these things can sync. And so when you go out there, whether you are promoting investment, whether you are promoting tourism, there's one voice and there's one message that we're delivering to the rest of the world.
Well, that interview concluding our bulletin tonight, but as always, we have got more stories for you on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. You can read more about the presidential pitch ceremony where 10 startups have received a boost from the President, Akufo-Addo. Also, Newmont moves to facilitate compensation talks between contractor employers and employees, and a report that says that 82 agri-tech startups operate across Africa. Of course, we've got all the day's latest stories in videos for you, just in case you missed out on any of them. My name is Daryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. We are back same time tomorrow.